Yankees win another series. They defeat the Philadelphia Phillies. They win 2 out of 3. And so they finished their 6-game homestand 4-2. Can't complain with that. Similar to the San Francisco series where they win games 1 and 3 and they lose the middle game. And to me, the main story, and of course we can talk about Gerrit Cole, we will. And, Cole has been excellent to start, but Gleyber Torres, just fantastic in every way you can look at it. And this was a player that was very, there was a chance that he was not going to stick around. There was, in terms of him being traded, there was trade rumors last year during the deadline, and that might have affected him in August, where we heard about Pablo Lopez, and I think that was real rumors. And when you look at Torres' season last year, it was definitely a bounce back from really a very, very disappointing 2020 and 2021 seasons. Like 18 and 19, Gleyber Torres was great, really, really good. And you can maybe attribute some of the struggles to just the failure at shortstop. Gleyber Torres was just not a good shortstop. He's a lot more comfortable at second base. We've seen that throughout his career. He's where he belongs as far as that goes. But now he is really, in the first 6 games, been great. And like I said, last season, take August, throw it aside, it was a pretty good season for him. He can be a frustrating player, but what you're seeing the first 6 games is exactly why, Yankee fans kind of fell in love with Gleyber in the first place. And you didn't want to see him go down the path of many, many, many other young Yankee players that have really dropped off completely. I mean, just not even off the team, out of the league, or just really just kind of hanging on. But Gleyber's better than that. And just so far, just want to give some numbers here, to this 2023 season. 19 at-bats, 8 hits, right? So 421 batting average, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 5 steals, and a 560 on-base percentage. He has 6 walks and 2 strikeouts. Again, extremely small sample, but it's very impressive. To me, he is the absolute story, positively of the team so far. Obviously, there's a lot of, Aaron Judge has just been so steady, so good. But Gleyber Torres, and now that Josh Donaldson's out, it should have never been this way anyway. Gleyber Torres should have always been batting ahead of Josh Donaldson, but now Donaldson, in this last game today, appeared to, it was a hamstring injury, right? And a lot of the times those end up on the IL. I would not be surprised if Donaldson, even if it's, more of a low grade hamstring strain, don't be surprised if he goes to the IL. And so that definitely puts Gleyber Torres in a position where he will bat no lower than the 5th. And we've even seen him bat leadoff when DJ LeMahieu has been out of the lineup. So, for me, Gleyber, it's been, I guess you could call it a love-hate situation for me, where I've really been very frustrated by him to the point where I wouldn't have, in the right deal, I wouldn't have minded it. But now, look, if he can even give you some of this on a consistent basis, he's a very, very important, and I complain about the Yankees, and I feel like, come postseason, that offense just isn't quite whole. Gleyber Torres is certainly not someone you want to subtract. You want him in the mix. So, definitely credit to Gleyber, who was on the Venezuela WBC team and didn't really do a whole lot there as far as success. But he kind of says that was, good for him. And look, whatever he can take out of that experience, the better. So Gleyber Torres, who is still only, Gleyber Torres is still only 26 years old. I mean, he came up at a very young age, kind of entering the prime of his career, and, has really, really been fantastic to start. So 3-game set for the Yanks against a Philly team coming in that did, in fact, get swept. When I had recorded the San Francisco Giant recap, I had said at the time that they had lost the first 2. Well, they did get swept. And the Phillies, they do win their first game of the season, but they do lose the series. And, for the Yanks, the offense was there in game 1 for sure. Nestor Cortes makes his debut, and Nestor was solid. Nestor Cortes, goes 5 innings, gives up 1 run. Not a whole lot of strikeouts, just 3. But, it felt pretty comfortable. And, through 80 pitches, right? They didn't want to, he was coming off of a, I guess of a groin situation, not an arm injury or anything like that, but they wanted to be smart with him. And they were. As far as roster moves go, Ian Hamilton is on the roster now, and he pitched in this game. And Johnny Brito, after his great start for San Francisco, is sent down. Kind of a roster manipulation move, and they will miss one start that Brito would have had, and they'll fill the gap somewhere else. Not a huge deal. I'm not up in arms about it. I'm sure Brito will be back as soon as he can be, and he certainly deserves that. So game one, you now see Aaron Hicks in the lineup. So starting, and he started the first 2 games of the series, and again, it's bad. It is bad. Fans are booing the shit out of him, and I don't blame the fans. I mean, look, it hurts for Aaron Hicks, but it's just like, and it's not. I think that a lot of the vitriol, it's not even all at him. It's at Brian Cashman, right? A lot of that is Brian Cashman. Most of it, maybe even, because Aaron Hicks should just not be in Yankee uniform. It's his contract that is the main reason, but it's also a contract that, look, if it gets bad enough, you just have to cut the cord. You just have to. I don't see this ending well, and if he doesn't turn around, I don't know how he lasts on this roster through the season. I just don't know, because again, I know it's only a couple games. There's a good chance that he might do better on the road, right? I think that he is public enemy number 1 right now. With Josh Donaldson, I don't know. He's number 2, but now Donaldson's hurt. So, we'll see what's up with that. But Hicks was in there. Franchy Cordero made his Yankee debut. I'm not a huge fan of him, but hey, you know what? There was some good there, I guess. He plays game 1 and 3. And so, I don't think he's a great option. I prefer Willie Calhoun, but that's just what they're going with. And in this one, Oswaldo Cabrera was out the first 2 games of this series, and then Josh Donaldson did not play in game 1 here. Just off the top, Anthony Volpe, not a great series for Anthony Volpe. I think he got a hit in the 3 games. Defensively, there was one struggle in game 2 that we'll talk about, but again, I'm not concerned at all, but just being honest that Volpe didn't really do a whole lot in this series. But let's talk about this one. Nestor Cortez versus Taijuan Walker, making his Philly debut after having been with the Mets the last couple of seasons. And DJ LeMahieu, it's been interesting for DJ, where there's been a lot more pop, but also a lot more swing and miss. And so, DJ, as we know, is not a guy that strikes out a lot, but also, with injuries, hasn't really been hitting for much power. We kind of seen that, and he's hit the ball really hard and with some authority. And in the first inning, he triples. It was not a great play by Brandon Marsh. And eventually you end up in a bases loaded situation, and Giancarlo Stanton hits a, slow ground ball to short that gets the job. The result is there. Not necessarily what Giancarlo wanted, but hey, he didn't strike out. It wasn't a double play. It works out. Yankees take a 1-0 lead in the RBI ground out, and then Gleyber kind of gets lucky too, where Taijuan Walker isn't able to kind of cleanly field the grounder. And so what could have honestly been somewhat of a disaster situation for the Yankees, that ends up making it 2-0. And there could have been some more there, but there also could have been some less there. It ends up 2-0. Nestor pitches a scoreless second inning. Yankees go down 1-2-3 in the second. Nestor again. And look, the starters for the Yanks, other than Clark Schmidt, have been pretty good. We'll talk about Domingo Germán. It was kind of a classic Domingo Germán outing, but Nestor was really solid. And then Gleyber Torres homers in the third. So Gleyber, he's thinking right field. Both of his home runs have been to the opposite field. When he's not trying to pull the ball, he's such a better player. And so Gleyber hits his second homer of the season, gives the Yankees a 3-0 lead. The Phillies would score their 1 run in the 4th. It was an Alec Boehm 1-out double. And then with 2 outs, Edmundo Sosa gets an RBI single. So that would, sort of end what had been a bit of a scoreless streak for the starters. Obviously, Schmidt had given up some runs, but Johnny Brito the day before had pitched shutout ball. So it makes it 3-1. And then in the 5th, Nestor kind of wiggles out of some trouble. A real key play here. You get a leadoff double by Brandon Marsh. And with 2 out, JT Realmuto singles to right. It was hard hit. And Franchy Cordero charges the ball. And Brandon Marsh, not only did he fuck up in the field, he fucks up on the bases as well, where he's kind of caught in between, and Cordero absolutely airmails the ball. I mean, if Marsh had just gone home, he scores easily. But an amazing job by Nestor Cortez. Nestor always finds a way to do something fun. Nestor backs up and makes a brilliant throw to DJ at third to tag out Marsh. Just a terrible bit of base running by Brandon Marsh as far as I saw it, but a great play by Nestor to make up for that really bad throw by Cordero. And so that keeps it at 3-1. And then we go to the fifth. Walker is out. He let on LeMahieu to start the inning. He strikes out Judge. But Anthony Rizzo hits his first homer of the season. And it was one of those classic Rizzo down the line, right field line, and fair. And so that gave the Yankees a 5-1 lead. And then Franchi Cordero gets involved with a 2-run double after a couple of walks to Stanton and Torres. That makes it 7-1. Jose Trevino gets an RBI single, and Trevino was looking better at, as far as his at-bats this series. So that was good to see. And so, yeah, for Marte of the Phillies, it was an ugly. He didn't even finish the inning. So the Yankees have an 8-1 lead. And at that point, I think that it was a long inning. The Yankees have a big lead. Take out Nestor. So Ian Hamilton makes his Yankee debut, and he looked pretty good. Pitched a scoreless sixth. Pitched most of the seventh. Jonathan Loáisiga came in. We saw some of the Yankees' more high-leverage pitchers come in here because the Yankee bullpen had been a bit taxed the last few days. So Loáisiga finishes up the seventh. He also pitches all of the eighth. And then Clay Holmes would come on. There were some defensive changes along the way, but Clay Holmes pitches a scoreless ninth. And, we would see, I think Judge, which was smart, up 8-1. Judge came out of the game, and Connor Falefa replaced him. And, yeah, Yankees win at 8-1. So, a lot of good in this one. Like I said, Nestor, obviously, the bullpen pitched 4 scoreless innings. Hamilton, Loáisiga, Holmes. And so, yeah, a good win. We go to Game 2. And Game 2 was Domingo Germán for the Yanks. And for Domingo, the home run ball has definitely been an issue for him. And he really deserved a better fate. And look, he got no run support. I don't mind Domingo Germán as a depth starter. I really don't. Is he gonna, even though he did have a lot of strikeouts, he's just a solid pitcher. And obviously you hate with Domingo, it's always kind of, for me, a little bit clouded, and you hate the off-the-field stuff that happened a few years ago. But look, by all accounts, he's cleaned that up. You don't forget it, but, that has nothing to do with, it's also not fair to necessarily bring that up as it pertains to him as a pitcher. But I really think that he's done a pretty solid job since coming back into the mix last season. The stat line looks a little bit worse than what is, but what is true with him is that he does give up a lot of home runs. No doubt about that. He is someone that, but at least they were only solo shots. Look, the fact is, if the Yankee offense did well in this game, I think the Germán outings is looked at completely different, but it just didn't go that way. So for the Phils, it would be Matt Strahm making the start, the lefty. This was his Philly debut as well. He pitched pretty well in this one. And for the Yanks, like I had said, this was a game that saw Anthony Rizzo on the bench. We would see Giancarlo Stanton on the bench in Game 3. And who else? Yeah, it was interesting that Oswaldo Cabrera sat out the first 2 games of this series. I know you want to get Hickson, but it was interesting. They went all 3 with him in the first series, and then he sits at the first 2. I would definitely try to leave Oswaldo in there more than not. I didn't agree with that, but, it is what it is. And Isaiah Kiner-Falefa back in center. What I like to see is that Aaron Hicks, look, he really is not seen very highly of. It is clear, as I'm repeating myself, that it's the contract keeping him. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is playing center field over Aaron Hicks, which I absolutely agree with. I do not trust Aaron Hicks really at all defensively, especially not in center field. So that's just an interesting little nugget, but that's just the way that it's got to be. So Higgy would catch Domingo Germán. And, unfortunately, he gets off to a rough start. It's over for Kyle Schwarber. Schwarber, who to that point had struggled, he ends up hitting a couple home runs in this series, and this would be the first one. And it gives the Phillies a 1-0 lead. Yankees had some struggles against Strahm. Pitched really well. In the third, Brandon Marsh kind of making up for some of his mistakes from the night before. He homers to give the Philadelphia Phillies a 2-0 lead. Anthony Volpe gets a 2-out single in the third, but nothing comes of it. And a pitcher's duel to this point through 4 innings, not a whole lot going. And then in the fifth, what should have been an inning-ending double play from Anthony Volpe. It's 1-out runner on first, and Brandon Marsh hits a ground ball to Volpe, who is kind of standing right at second base, and He's able to get the out at second, but if he fields it cleanly, easy double play ends the inning. And you kind of know how it goes. It doesn't. And this is where Michael King factors into the equation as well, as far as why Domingo Germán didn't deserve for a couple of reasons. A, it was inherited runners allowed on Germán's part, and also the inning should have been over. So he did give up a single to Garrett Stubbs before exiting. So Michael King comes in on first and second, 2 out. I'm a little bit concerned about Michael King. He was unbelievably good last season. So good. Honestly, one of the best pitchers in baseball, but I don't know. He never got surgery. I just have a bad feeling that Michael King, I want to be wrong, but I just feel like something's going to have to be done there. He just doesn't seem the same, but it's early, right? It's very early. I mean, all it might take is a few good outings. He gets his confidence back. Everything kind of rounds into form, but I don't know. King, the velocity isn't quite there. Just the movement isn't there. He doesn't look that good. And so what happens is Trey Turner, RBI single, Kyle Schwarber, RBI single, and then Alec Boehm flies out. So it ends up being Germán's runs. But Michael King, who had struggled a bit in that San Francisco loss, kind of does it here again. And so it's 4-0 Phillies at this point. And Strom is out after 4. But Andrew Bellotti comes in, pitches a 1-2-3 fifth. King with a bit of a shaky 6, but does get through it scoreless. So King's ERA line ends up not looking terrible, but in reality, didn't look so good. He did give up 4 hits in an inning and a third. So in the 6th, Jose Alvarado, impressive inning from Alvarado. The lefty strikes out Volpe, LeMahieu, and Judge. Albert Abreu comes on, and Abreu, who's more of a low-leverage reliever in this bullpen, has actually looked pretty good to start the season. And I've always said the stuff is there. Do you trust him in big spots? Probably not, but he's looked pretty good. He pitched a good 7th inning. Connor Brogdon came in the 7th and, retired the Yanks pretty easily. Like I said, Abreu pitches those 2 innings. In the 9th, Jimmy Cordero comes on, and he pitched well, also gets a couple of strikeouts. And in the 9th, Craig Kimbrell comes on in a non-save situation, 4-0, and with 1 out, LeMahieu homers. It's his first homer of the season, makes it 4-1. Yankees made it a little interesting. They got the tying run up. Judge walks, Gleyber flies out, Stanton singles, and so Josh Donaldson's the tying run, and he pops out. And for Donaldson, in these first 6 games, not great. He had a homer. There was some hard hit balls, but for Donaldson, let's say he goes in the IL, wasn't really overly impressed in this very short sample size. So again, players that kind of struggled last year and we weren't really the biggest fans of, kind of continue that early on here. So let's jump to game 3. Rubber game, good pitchers duel between Aaron Nola and Gerrit Cole. And Gerrit Cole has been another, you don't want to take him for granted because, again, there's been some struggles for Gerrit Cole, the last, couple of seasons, although really ended on a very high note last year. In the playoffs, he was really excellent for the Yankees. And so far, so good this year. I feel bad. He gives up this 1 run. The first one is get up in the air, and it was an inherited situation, and the run was a pitch clock violation on a full count. So he leaves the game. If he stays in there, like let's say it's an earlier inning and he's still in there, he probably gets out of it. He's just been that good. But Cole, still impressive. His ERA in the season, a sparkling .73. Today, 6 1/3 innings, 3 hits, that 1 earned run, which is frustrating. 3 walks and 8 strikeouts. So just, really good stuff against a good Philly lineup. Are they whole? No, they're not a whole lineup, but you still got Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto. That's your top 3. That's still really, really tough. And a bunch of other good hitters in the lineup too. So in this one, like I said, no Giancarlo Stanton. So Gleyber takes that DH cleanup role and just was great with it. And Connor Falefa would be the one to replace Donaldson at third. So don't be surprised to see Connor Falefa maybe get some more time. Of course, the logical assumption is that DJ plays more at third base. We'll probably mostly see that, but don't be surprised to see IKF at third as well. He did win a Gold Glove at third base, so I don't have a major problem with that, although the bat has been, for Connor Falefa, been extremely quiet. In the small opportunities he's gotten, he hasn't had a single hit yet. So, Nola looking to bounce back from a bad start versus Texas. Unfortunately for him, gives up a run in the first inning. It's a Judge single with 1 out. He steals second with 2 outs. And the Yankees caught a bit of a break where it looked like Gleyber probably should have been struck out. But on the steal attempt by Judge, the ump, I guess, didn't really see it. It ends up being a Gleyber broken bat RBI single with 2 out to score Judge and give the Yanks 1-0 lead. He'd be caught stealing, but let's not forget about this. We'll bookmark that. Gleyber is caught stealing in the first inning, and Real Muto's got a great arm. Cole's really continuing to do well. Yankees offense kind of getting quiet. Of course, Donaldson is injured in the second, and in the third, Kiner-Falefa replaces him defensively. Gerrit Cole picks off Trey Turner to end the third, which was nice. And in the fourth, Franchy Cordero actually shows off the arm. It's a nice play by Volpe as well, where Derek Hall tries to go for a double, doesn't work. So the Yankee defense, pretty sharp. In the fifth, Kevin Long gets ejected in the fifth inning. Former Yankee hitting coach, the now Philly hitting coach, gets ejected. Cole, a couple of walks in the fifth, and that kind of affected him in terms of being able to get through deeper into the game. And, but he still pitched really well. In the sixth, like against Turner, Schwarber, Real Muto, goes 1-2-3 and strikes out 2 of them. And then at the bottom of the sixth, the Yankees had another run. It's DJ LeMay with a double. So think about it. Triple in game 1, homer in game 2, double in game 3. So extra bases there for him. And it looked like the Yankees weren't going to score, but then it's Gleyber with 2 out. So they weren't able to move DJ over, but Gleyber gets an RBI single up the middle. So Gleyber, Torres continues to be the story. He steals second, but unfortunately, Kiner-Falefa flies out. In the top of the seventh, with 1 out, I said there was that pitch clock violation on Cole. Castellanos walks, and Loaizaga comes on. And with Loaizaga, I like him, but he does concern me too. Hard contact, he's not much of a strikeout pitcher anymore. Jonathan Loaizaga at one point did get strikeouts. Now it's not as much there. And that's not everything. That's all right. But, Loaizaga, a little shaky. And there's a single, a hit by pitch. And so with the bases loaded, Jake Cave hits a sac fly. And so the Cole shutout streak ends. But Loaizaga luckily gets out of the inning and keeps the lead. Josh Harrison grounds out to Kiner-Falefa at third. Really nice play by IKF to get the force at third. And then on the bottom of the seventh, the Yankees score a couple of runs. The leadoff walk by Oswaldo Cabrera, which is a good job by him. And that's it for Nola. The lefty Gregory Soto comes on. It's interesting that Cordero hit for himself, and I figured they probably would have went with Hicks. Forget about Stanton for a second. I figured they would have went with Hicks against Soto. They leave Cordero in, he strikes out, but then Jose Trevino hits his first homer of the year. Really big home run to make it 2-1 from 2-1 to 4-1. And Trevino homers off of Gregory Soto. Then in the eighth, Loaizaga continues on. He does give up a home run to Kyle Schwarber, makes it 4-2. But other than that, all right. In the bottom of the eighth, Sir Anthony Dominguez comes on, a ground rule double for Gleyber. A nice, hard fly ball to left center field. Gleyber then steals third. That's his 5th steal of on the young season. Just crazy. But then the Yankees actually don't get that run in. Bad job by Kiner-Falefa, grounds out. Then Oswaldo pops out, and then Cordero grounds out. So you thought maybe that could come back to bite. It doesn't. I was a little bit concerned about Clay Holmes coming in, but Clay really looked good. The key to me was the Castellanos strikeout. He strikes him out looking. It was close, but he got him. Then Bryson Stott strikes out, and then Alec Boehm strikes out. He strikes out the side. So really good to see Clay Holmes strong. For me, it should be more of a by committee situation, but you get the sense Holmes is going to be the 9th inning guy. So the Yankees win the series, and now they head to Baltimore to take on the Orioles. This series was supposed to start tomorrow. It's not because of rain, but they had, this is what they always do in baseball. They have, in the more rain-like climates, they had that scheduled off day. So now they're going to use that scheduled off day Friday. So it'll be Yankees, Orioles. The pitching probables are not listed yet for this series, just for the Yanks. Obviously, Clark Schmidt will pitch Friday. Beyond that, I can't say I'm too sure. Although, actually, it looks as if it'll probably be Nestor Saturday, Herman Sunday, which makes sense. Nestor only threw 80 pitches. He'll be on regular rest. And it looks okay. So actually, Nestor Cortez versus Cole Irvin in game 2. The lefty Irvin, who's new to the Orioles, had been on the Oakland A's most recently. And then, Herman versus TBD in game 3. So anyway, this will be an interesting series against an Oriole team that is an improving team. For the Yankees, if they can take 2 out of 3, very happy with that. You don't have Gerrit Cole going in this series. So if you can take 2 out of 3, this was similar to last year where the Yankees had a couple of home series to start last year versus the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. And then they actually lost For a Yankee team that really had a very strong beginning, I remember they lost a series at Baltimore, which at the time was like, whoa. But then we came to find out that Baltimore's actually not a bad team. And Baltimore right now is 3-3. So I'm actually excited to see this. And then the Yankees go to Cleveland to take on a team that they just played in the playoffs last year. So if you can go 4-2 in this 6-game road trip, that'd be awesome. But first things first, it's Baltimore, and it'll be Baltimore's home opener. And so, they'll be excited about that. So, but that'll be Friday, not Thursday. Yankees win their first 2 series. They are 4-2, and now they head on for their first road trip of the 2023 season.